Hi, me again. Now we're going to carry on looking at these references here in Excel. And we saw in the last video that we could have this cell here, and this is looking, that there is what we call a relative reference, that's looking in the cell 1 to the left, and with the dollar sign that's an absolute reference, which is looking at that cell there. But I've changed this now, so we've now got a variety of different rates going across the top here, and these different rates obviously want to multiply on the gross salary. So if we double click there, it's taking, like I say, the relative one cell to the left multiplied by the absolute there. What problems does this cause if I drag it to the right? Well, let's just have a look here. This is now looking, rate 2 is now looking at the cell 1 to the left instead of looking at the gross value. And this one here is now still looking at the absolute value there. So what we can do is, I'll just delete that. If we go in here and we change this so that this becomes absolute, so I just press F4 and change that so that it's not absolute. So I press F4 3 times to go back to just the cell C5. And now when I press enter, if I take that cell and drag it to the right, that's actually now looking at the right place, because it's this one here that's become locked and this one here that is now relative. It was there and it's moving as we go across to the right. So you might think we've solved the problem, because actually all of those rates going across there, they work. But what doesn't work is when we fill these rates downwards, because what it's actually doing here is, let's have a look. This C6, which we made unlocked, has now come down. So what we actually want to do is we want to lock it in the row number so it moves across as we move across. But when we move down, it doesn't move down, it stays in the relative column but absolute row. So let's see how we do that. So we're going to fix these one at a time. The C here, and if I press F4, that's now locked in both the column and the row. I just want to lock the row, so I press F4 again. C now doesn't have the dollar before it, so C is unlocked, therefore relative. And what relative means is it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 above and 1, 2 to the left. Yeah. But the row is actually locked now, so it will always take the value from row 5. So in effect, the C is just saying 2 to the left. Yep, in row 5. Let's see how that works. So I press enter, drag it across. Those values look exactly the same because they haven't changed for that row. When I drag it down, however, it's now giving me, strangely enough, the same values. Now I wonder why it's giving me the same values. Well, let's have a look. If we go in there, it's this one that's absolutely locked as well. So if I go into that one, well look, this row here is still referring to the 450 when it should be referring to that one. Now this is the opposite way round, because here we actually want the column to be locked but not the row. So we want the row to increment as we move down, but the column to always stay the same. So let's go back to the first one. Here, click in that there, press F4. That's now saying the column is relative, in other words it's 1 to the left, but the row is locked. So it will always be taking the value from there, but as I move across, it will come across to 1 to the left. That's absolutely not what we want. Press it again. Now the column, the D, is locked, but as I move down the rows, the 10 will become an 11 and it will read the right one. So that's the setting I want. So you'll see that here I've got opposite settings, because this one is moving horizontally, this one is moving vertically. I've locked one or the other of the axes. That's what I want there. I press enter drag it across and fill down, and now you'll see how it's working. And if I just choose one over here, if I double click there, that should be referring to rate 4 and the 1200. Hey presto, it is. Okay, that there is called referencing, but that particular type of referencing there is what we call mixed referencing. So now in the last video we had a look at absolute and relative referencing, and in this one we've just had a very quick look at mixed referencing. Now mixed referencing becomes incredibly powerful, particularly when you want to start doing conditional formatting. I hope this has been useful. I'm the Adobe Guy, and thank you for listening.